asked for a weekend than I had. It was brilliant.
Oh, yeah, but how
Right.
did you get that vantage point? You were in prime real estate.
Oh, I tell you, I went early. That's the thing. If you want to get yourself a good spot, okay, you need to go early. And also, what helped is, of course, as an ex serviceman. You've always
Ah,
got all these priorities everywhere. You just go through because you've got your military ID ex serviceman card.
oh,
So
very
it's
nice.
easier to get to places and all of that sort of thing. But
Yes,
it
I
was
thought that might be.
amazing. Hmm.
Oh, and
Right.
your excitement. Oh, it was so
Oh,
cute.
oh,
You
oh.
honestly, it was wonderful.
We've got to do it, Catherine. We've got.
I agree. I agree. I
Right, should
agree.
we welcome our guests on the
Yes,
our
Ali. Yeah.
our watchers on the show? Welcome to Francis Page Media. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. The 12 of you who are on this live so far. It is amazing to always have you on the show. Here with me is our wonderful Catherine, all the way from Australia. Very, very staunch
Hi.
royalist. I've put her YouTube channel name in the description, I think. Arroyo Iota. Is Arroyo Iota?
Correct. Yep.
Yes, yeah, it's fabulous name. Let's go in there and show her some support for the amazing work she's doing, promoting the good image of the British royal family over in Australia. Welcome to
Oh, you're wonderful.
Sure,
Thank you.
Catherine. Always an honor to have you here with me.
Well, I'm the one who's on it. Truly, because the coverage of the Trooping of the Colour this weekend in Australia
Mm,
was minimal at best.
mm.
And here am I with you, and you got a front row seat.
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, no.
I did my best to try and get all the best bits in, especially the departures from the Buckingham Palace down to the mall. And of course, you can't be into places. So I wasn't best at the Horse Guards Parade to see the soldiers marching up and down and the inspecting of the Guard of Honor. But I knew that stationing myself up the mall closer to Buckingham Palace will mean that I can get to see the fly past, the
Ah,
Alconair Paris. I can get to be closer
oh,
to Buckingham Palace. So that's the only reason I stationed myself very close to the palace. But
oh.
otherwise, yeah, it would
No, it
have been.
was breathtaking view, breathtaking.
Oh, it was. And sadly, they didn't air the program in Australia. Is that right?
Well, it was minimal. They didn't have the BBC are very left, the
Mm,
ABC rather. Yours is the BBC. It's our public broadcaster. It's very left, very pro-republic. But it
mm,
comes back to what I was saying to you in one of our test pilot lives that we did
mm,
recently, that um, the mood here is quite flat, and
mm,
you know, I believe because a lot of the snippets I've seen since the trooping have been very enthusiastic. So, you know, look, a lot of people are waiting, hoping that the king will make it at the end of the year. But no, I was very disappointed. But I had you, didn't I?
yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah. You had
What's a girl to
me
do?
cheering
I
on.
can't
Yeah,
complain.
King Charles, King Charles.
Oh, so
Kate,
funny. Yeah, yeah.
Kate, give us a wave. Yeah.
Oh, so wonderful. Listen, what was the mood of the crowd while they were waiting for uh, the royal family to make their appearance, particularly Kate? What was the mood in the public gallery, so to speak?
Oh, it was brilliant. Before we go, I'd like to see our friend
Yes.
here. Oh, has that chat disappeared? Do you see the chat from your side?
I can see it. Michelle B. Hi from London.
Yes,
And
yeah. Oh, the
can you see
ye-
them, Francis?
yeah. So they've popped up
Good.
now. Yes, yeah, yeah. Welcome, welcome. I don't know why mine disappear after some time. They don't stay on. Probably I need to go to settings and get them to stay on. They keep popping up and disappearing. But hi, my friends. You are welcome to this live stream. Thank you so much for your messages of hope and of kindness. It's great to have you here on the show. Michelle, Paula, um, great job, Paula, you're doing across the Atlantic, United States, shining a light on our British royals. Thank you so much, Paula. Michelle, Elaine, Retroactive Jealousy. Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lina, great to see you, every single one of you on the show. Katherine, you will help me because my chats are disappearing every now and
I'll
then.
keep an eye.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so just keep an eye and see who is there so you help respond to some of those that I might have missed. Okay.
will do. Mm.
Yeah, so we talked about the mood of
Yes.
people who came down to see the royals. That mood was, how can I put it? I think it was ecstatic. Everybody was excited. The weather was not good because we had episodes of rain every after half an hour, 40 minutes. Rain came down pouring on us again. But people were determined to stay there
Mm.
until the
Mm.
end of the procession. And I think that was very, very telling of how they were so, so happy to be there on the day. Okay. And in London, people would know what sort of weather it was going to be for the day. So they would have seen that at some point it was going to rain, and I mean heavy rain. If you saw some of the short videos I posted
Mm.
of me
Mm.
literally drenching, you can
Mm.
see the day was going to be very wet. But that didn't stop people coming down. People were particularly excited about Catherine, Princess of Wales' return. Mm. And all of them, were literally craving. We had others come as far as Scotland, Spain. I was talking to so many French as well, and they wanted to come and see Catherine. All of these mysteries and the theories that were mad out there, and some of those that came across as actually very, very abusive to Catherine and all of that sort of thing, drew royalists closer and even more closer. So they wanted to come and catch a glimpse of Catherine and see really uh, why people were saying what they were saying. And it was great to see them come down. Okay, yeah.
Player, and I thought she wouldn't want to take any spotlight away from the king, but he put out a statement and said he was looking forward to his daughter-in-law, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, joining them after
Absolutely.
her statement. So it was like, oh, everyone had permission to just roar and scream, and it was electrifying. That was how it felt from this position here in Australia, despite the lack of media coverage.
Exactly. And, thank you for talking about Catherine not wanting to steal the spotlight because she never does. She likes to ensure that that spotlight goes to that
Mm,
person it deserves. Okay. And we have
mm,
seen this happen so many times with her stepping out with husband, Prince William. We see her taking a back step, following the protocol. And she did exactly the same thing coming back
Mm.
to this engagement where we hadn't seen her for, so many months, okay, since Christmas. And as you can see, looking at the procession down the mall to the Horse Guards parade, we had the king, of course, and the queen leading on in front. And then we had William and Princess Anne, somewhere riding on the horses in the middle. And then came Catherine, Princess of Wales, with her children riding in that carriage, as you could have seen. So
Mm.
again, there was royal protocol observed throughout. Okay, and when Catherine arrived down the Horse Guards parade, she was taken to, inside the building to the balcony inside where was that the Major General's office balcony, where she watched the procession with her children. So these are the normalities of the positions that Catherine takes attending events like this. So she still maintained the same, positions. So there wasn't any overshadowing of the king, apart from, the media, of course, writing about Princess Catherine's return. But if there is one royal that King Charles does not mind taking the spotlight away from him, that is Catherine, Princess of Wales.
Mm.
Okay.
I think you're right. It was evident on the balcony. The exchange, the love, the joy shared between them was authentic. That was not staged in any way. That was absolutely shared family joy. It was a family day more than an official event. Even that's how it felt. But look. No wonder people love the royal family. We haven't seen her since December, and she
Mm.
turns up in a carriage.
Stands up in a carriage.
It's like this is as fairy tale as it gets. This is Princess Diana level of fairy tale.
Oh,
It
yes.
and with her
She
children.
she was not prepared to see her children attend the Trooping of the Colour on their own. So this appearance was very symbolic, okay, as well of Catherine,
Mm,
Princess of Wales, not only being a princess but a mother who wants to
mm,
attend an event to sort of keep the children comfortable on the event, because had she not attended, it means the children would not have come as well. Okay, and
yes,
this is a special event for the king, and the king wanted the children to be part of this. The grandchildren to be part of this occasion. So Catherine would have been extremely selfish if she hadn't come out. We know she's also, still recovering, as she put those statements out there. But again, she knew that I'm not going to just look at myself as Catherine and as my health, and I've got to do something as well to not just be too selfish to think about myself, but my children. So she came in all her glory
mm,
to give that comfort to the children attending this big occasion, because she very well knew that her husband, Prince William, was going to be on the horse, was going to be playing a role,
mm.
inspecting the guard of honor and all of that sort of thing. So it was very, very ideal for Catherine to be present for this special event. You know.
I felt at one moment in the carriage that it was close up and she was looking a bit behind, and I
Mm.
felt there was a little bit of strain and discomfort on her face. But um, what I have learned is that she suffers from motion sickness.
Yeah.
So can you imagine what that trip took out of her, doing that with her children around her? Because I understand from a few reports that there were a lot of tears before the event, and Catherine was hesitant. And I think it was Princess Charlotte who said, "Oh, mummy, you can do this. You've got it."
Yeah, yes.
So, but that took huge bravery for her to put herself in a position of vulnerability. And those carriages, the Queen often complained about the suspension
Hmm.
in those carriages. So that was quite a remarkable display of courage, tenacity, but
Strength.
also, yeah, she put herself in a vulnerable position, but she did it. She did it
With grace.
because she knew she needed to.
Yeah,
It
she
was with
needed to do.
grace. Yeah.
Absolutely, with so much grace. And, you have really highlighted a very good point there that, she appeared hesitant, behind the scenes. And that is what everybody would do that hasn't been in the public eye for such a long
Mm,
time. And of course, with the treatment that she's getting, and how she told us in her statement that there are days when she really feels down and days when she feels, good. And she's got to to make the most out of the days she feels good. So this day coming to the troop on the day could have been one of those days that were not particularly the best days, okay, to step out. But she had to do it. Not that she wanted to come in the limelight or she wanted to steal the show or all of that sort of thing, but because she is a very strong woman who,
mm,
regardless of how she feels, she always wants to, be there for others. Because that was being
mm,
there for the king as well. We had a
mm.
lot of um, areas where we had some "You are not my king" enchantments, with the yellow flags of the anti-monarchists. Okay, and on the other side, of course, we had the monarchists, so the royalists who would say, "God save the king." And so, can you imagine had Catherine not stepped up? Because Catherine coming out onto the mall on that day drew so much sympathy from so many people that even the anti monarchists, forgot their slogan of "You're not my king." God save the king. You
Oh
see?
my gosh.
Mm. They did, to God save the king. And
Oh,
it's very interesting because I think you if you watch some of the videos I posted, you will see I went to the "You are not my king," group. And I said, "God save the king." And I actually joined them with the Union flag. I said, "God save the king." And they didn't actually do anything, to shove me off or throw me away. And they welcomed me, and I said, "We excited to see Catherine back." And so there was some in there who actually said, "Yes, I think she has been long overdue. This is the perfect time for her return." So either way, Catherine made a massive difference turning up for King Charles's birthday parade. Okay, have we got some messages come up?
no, well, there's a couple. Yes, I was listening. I was listening now, but you did ask me to keep an eye. But
Yes.
there's a response from Pom here to
Hmm.
Elaine, and she says, "Do you think, Elaine, that she drew strength and positivity from the day? I hope so many people sent loads of love her way. Do you think that was the key, that when she got there, she drew strength from the day? I mean, even hardcore, hard nosed Republicans could never deny that kind of bravery.
She drew a lot of strength. She was very brave. And
Mm.
coming to the Buckingham Palace balcony appearance, you could
Yeah.
see coming out in front of, I think she wanted Prince William to her husband to come out first. So we had the king emerge, and of course, the queen there. So we had Princess Anne on to the other side. Is it the left hand side of the king? So we see
Mm,
Catherine coming out, and then she sort of takes a step aside to let Prince William come through first, like she always does. Putting her husband first. She knows that she has to, of course, follow by, uh, with her husband being, the next king. And then at some point, then we see Prince William, giving her sort of a gesture. Not Catherine, go first. Like, my honor to have
oh,
you go before me. And that was great to see, especially from us, where who had kept our cameras zoomed in onto that palace. We were watching every move, of Catherine, Princess of Wales, and the behavior around the royals. But she fit in very well. The usual little gestures between her and her children, keeping Louis under control subtly, and playing a role of a mother, a future
mm,
queen, but a mother as well on the day. And given the fact that she is still not 100% fit, all of those
yeah.
things take a lot of bravery for somebody to do them in the way she would have done them when she's perfectly fit. Okay, but I spoke to a lot of people coming from Germany, Poland. I had lots of French people around me, United States. They couldn't be more happier than they were seeing, the royal family come together, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, um, you know, putting all these hate messages, into where they belonged. She said, right, you thought I would never come back. And, people had gone as far as saying, she was dead. Can you imagine? And then we had, there are some funny ones who had started making out of Catherine, saying she had found her place in Las Vegas. She had bought a new home in Las Vegas and took her children with her because they had a massive fallout with her husband, all of that sort of thing. And for her to still come out, give us a wave, give us a smile, keep that composure like she always does, I think that was great. It takes an extremely strong person to do that.
Well, particularly when you're physically weakened,
Mm,
chemotherapy is brutal, which brings me to King Charles, after the event, or, during uh, when he took the salute for the Irish Guard, he was sitting in the rain.
mm,
And pneumonia is a real threat to patients undergoing treatment for cancer. It's the biggest threat to a
mm,
cancer patient. And here he is, stoic, doing his job, and he was sitting in the rain.
mm,
So between the two of them, it was a remarkable display of strength. I mean, what it tells me is the monarchy is like far from dead. And
mm,
you may have seen the aerial view of the crowd, and there was this tiny little section, yellow section of the
yes.
Republicans. It was so funny. But when you see a display like that from King Charles sitting in the rain and Catherine in this weakened physio, and she has lost a lot of weight.
Yes. But it is
How
very
could we not
understandable.
respond? How can we
Mm.
not pour out our love and support and strength? It's remarkable. I actually believe it was a remarkable display.
It was. And the message she sent to the Irish
Yes.
and all the regiments after the
Mm,
processions was such a touching message. So she thanked them for showing up in the way they did, despite uh, how bad the weather was. And she promised them that she would never let them because she is the colonel in chief for the Irish Guards.
Mm.
She took over from her husband the last year. So attending this event as well was to show that support to her regiment, a regiment she heads, a regiment that was playing a major role, trooping the color, the Irish Guards. So she wasn't there for them during the final rehearsal. She was supposed to review the final rehearsal, but she promised them that I will hopefully be here with you all on that day. So she made her promise, and she still fulfilled that. She came out on the day. So, but when we look at her, of course, you've pointed out how she's lost weight, and we realize how the treatment she is undergoing is not a simple treatment,
Mm.
but also the worries of, as a result of all this hate that has been going on online from all these groups of people. Okay. But also um, her role as a woman who is very important in
Yes.
British, royal family. She's the future queen, and so you've got to be fit to serve in that role, because there are so many things you're going to be taking on. She's got her early years projects, that are supposed to be, you know, they took off. She launched this project, so she's supposed to be taking them to the next level. But all of these things, you know, must have stalled a little bit, because obviously the face that is supposed to promote all these projects is still, nursing herself. So all of these issues are bound to cause a lot of stress, strain on her,
Mm.
but she still showed up and put on this really good
Mm.
smile,
Mm.
that we know there was nothing concocted about that smile. She hadn't changed in how we know her body language when she's out in public. So we saw the Catherine we saw on the Trooping of the Color as the Catherine we know, regardless of what had changed about her. We still know she's our future queen, and she she already proved to us beyond any measures, that she is, the right person. She is the right future queen, and the support she has for her husband, you know.
Well, what do you make of uh, the king appeared incredibly emotional on the balcony. He, they had close-up shots. They were very moving, actually. Um, I think it was during the fly past, and he was really emotional. It was highly unusual for that display of. I think he was in tears. Um,
Mm.
what do you make of that? It was. I mean, it was almost like looking at the Queen when we last saw her on the balcony. Her emotion was palpable,
Mm.
and the
Mm.
royals have got a very forward facing face,
Mm.
but Charles allowed himself that vulnerability on the balcony. So, what are your thoughts about that? How did you respond to that?
Mhm. Good question. Good observation you made there. And we have tended to speak a lot about Catherine and how she's been going through those very challenging days with her cancer
Yeah,
treatment, and forgot that actually King
yeah.
Charles is going through the same. Okay. The only difference here is that maybe King Charles came out a little earlier to public duties, and so he's been around. He's been going on engagements with Camilla, and as a man, as the head of state, you can only take that so much leave, away from the office. And even, during those initial days he was told to rest, he was still working from well, home, if you may like to call it, in Buckingham Palace, signing a lot of, you know, signing a lot of papers, invitations, for people, of course, coming on to these events, and making arrangements for his upcoming trips. He's due to travel to France at some point, and all of that sort of thing. So he has been working behind the scenes. But this emotionality we saw with him
Mm,
and the
mm,
vulnerability is also coming from a perspective of a king who has been exhausted as a result of the treatment he's receiving. And then, of course, when he is there, these people read online, they read social media, they know what is going out there, with regards to how people are perceiving the monarchy, and of course the anti-monarchists shouting, "You're not my king," and all of that sort of thing. So you add that to the strain of the health situation he's going through, and himself being the king, it's bound to reduce him to what we saw. But he still held on, and I think he was also
mm.
very
Yeah.
teary, standing at the balcony and seeing
Mm.
this huge crowd out there singing "God Save the King" and that national anthem. If you watched I think I put out a video about,
Yeah.
for the fly past, and I made sure to sort of zoom in around to show you this sort of gathering we had in front of
Mm.
Buckingham Palace, to give you an idea of how people actually turned up for this event. So King Charles up at the balcony would have seen these people in those huge crowds. They turned
Yeah.
up, and that drew some tears of knowing that he still has immense support from the public. Okay, but also that balcony appearance brings a lot of memories for these royals. This is one thing I tell people: when you are up there, don't forget, we've seen so many great, kings, queens stand on that balcony, with the very last one being Queen Elizabeth herself. Okay, so King Charles, every time he stands on that balcony, and not just King Charles, Princess Anne, because she also was very close to her mother. Catherine, Princess of Wales, very close to her. His grandmother-in-law, you know, Prince William, very close to her, grandmother. So every time they stand on that balcony
Yeah.
without Queen Elizabeth, because she's only just left us, when is it, a year and a half,
Mm.
2 years ago?
Mm.
So these memories are still very raw. And every time they stand there without her, on big events like this, that also draws a bit of emotions, to them. And
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth stood her very last balcony appearance. We know how a bit of frail she was with her health and all of that sort of thing. And we see King Charles also standing there. He knows he's battling this illness. Okay, he will be okay. He will be fine with the treatment done. But of course, standing there like his mother did in those very last stages, and his mother, of course, had some health issues. Who knows if at some point he thought, could this be my last balcony appearance with this huge crowd enchanting me and all of that sort of thing? We could have all these thoughts running across, you know. But it was great because everybody actually, enjoyed it. The senior royals, and they fly past. We thought the rain was going to spoil the party, but thank God, it rained prior, and by the time we had this fly past, the skies had cleared and everybody was happy. The kids were, you know, looking up the sky all the time. So those were all telltale signs that these royals had great fun.
Well, speaking about the balcony, because it is such a, it's integral to these big royal um, pageants and events.
Mm.
What were your thoughts? Did you think it looked like a slimmed down monarchy uh, with the lineup that they had there? What were your thoughts, or did you think it um, was on point?
I think it was on point. Well, it appeared slimmed, as we know, but
Uh,
King
yeah.
Charles has always told us that, even way before Queen Elizabeth left us, I think there were plans to slim down the monarchy to a few working royals who were going to be making a good impact, and with the level of, what is it? The level of the financial situation. What's the word? There is a word I was going to use there. Um, Cost of living, is that the right word? I think, yeah, going on
Mm, mm,
everywhere, every country in Europe now. You know, there are things where they want the money to go, rather than having all of these royals and a few of them actually doing the work. So it was a slimmed down monarchy for that reason. Keep a few senior royals working, fund them fully, but we know that we are also saving money that we can then put away into all these other very important areas within the country and abroad. So they couldn't have had the right people up that balcony for that fly past than the ones they had. Okay.
mm,
So
mm,
Princess Royal Anne, we know how, she's very hardworking. She has done a lot of great work, while King Charles was down, stepping in on some of those very important engagements. Of course, her husband, Sir Admiral Tim Lawrence, was there on her side. We know how he is incredibly supportive. Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, okay, her husband, Prince Edward, and then this way, of course, the king, queen, Prince William, and
mm.
Catherine, and the children. I think that was the perfect balcony that we wanted to see, royals we wanted to see on the balcony. So, yes, it is slimmed down. Uh, but had it not been for the health scares we have, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, now cutting down on the number of engagements, and King Charles, we would have had the perfect group to take the monarchy forward. And of course, with the breakaway of Meghan and Harry, those two who would have made a massive difference, but they chose to take that path, which hasn't done them any good. Okay. And
Well,
maybe, mm,
someone's made a, it's to your point here, Pom. She makes a really good point. That's an interesting point. Many people have different views. It worked for me, being Pom. Some of the family members in the UK and overseas are contentious characters. So let's keep the balcony for the working royals. And that's to your point, it's I don't know.
who's that? Well,
It's like we that's POM.
Tom, thank you so much, because I'm trying to get the chat up here. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
letting me, because I've tried a new device here, this iPad, but it's not doing me any good. I had my daughter earlier on to try and show me how to pull up these messages. She did, but they disappear somehow. So you will really help me to highlight some of those over
Yeah, she
down there. Mm.
worked for Pom saying it worked for her, but it does bring us to it, like in previous events on the balcony, the absence of Harry and Meghan and Prince Andrew was glaring. It was
Mm.
quite jarring.
Mm.
But I mean, Pom is actually describing how I felt. It felt complete to me. It felt like they'd worked out the wrinkles, and this was it.
Yeah,
This was
yeah,
it.
we
We didn't
had.
really miss them.
We didn't. We didn't. I think we had the perfect bunch up there. And these really hardworking ones we see on our television and on in our newspapers every day stepping out with huge projects. I mean, we have Prince William, running great with his
Mm,
assured projects and how these have made a massive impact globally. He's taken these two as far as United States, Hong Kong the other day, I think Singapore, we have another one coming up. So he's done really great with those environmental campaigns. Now we want to see people like that on the balcony. Okay, that balcony is also one way of rewarding our senior royals. Okay, so when they show up there, it's the nation recognizing them for their hard work. So it's not for all royals to come, the Eugenies, the Beatrices, and all of those, they haven't actually done any meaningful work stepping out there promoting causes. So we want the royals who are doing the real work. Catherine, Princess of Wales, driving those huge early childhood projects, early years projects. Princess Anne, oh, come on, we know what she has achieved and what she's doing. She's the canon in chief of all these other regiments, the Royal Marines, and all of that sort of thing. And King Charles, with of course him being the king and traveling down and up the country with his wife Camilla. Camilla is somebody we haven't actually talked about recently. I think she also did a great job in the absence of her husband, stepping out there to represent King Charles on those engagements.
mm,
You know, there is a time it was just Camilla stepping out because
yeah.
William had taken a step back to look after, his wife in those very initial stages of the diagnosis. And so we had William Catherine out of play, and we had King Charles diagonized. So we were left with Camilla and Princess Anne, and these two were carrying that weight on their shoulders, okay, for nearly 3 months. Okay, so this balcony appearance here is actually one way of rewarding them when they stand out there and we clap for them. We are recognizing their hard work in the past few months, years leading up to the birthday parade. So, as much as it was King Charles's official birthday celebration, birthday parades are also for rewarding, you know, senior royals for their incredible work they are doing for communities here and abroad. Okay, have we got any messages up there?
Yes, we do. We have a
Mm,
couple.
mm.
Uh, Lily Page says, "Hi, Francis and Catherine."
Hi,
And she
Lily.
asked me, yeah, hi. And she
Yeah.
asked me, what tea am I drinking? It looks healthy. It's
Okay.
green tea. Yeah. Oh, look, I'm just a show off. I'm trying to look healthy. So
Yeah.
so um what cup of tea? I mean, I drink a variety of teas, but I'm a coffee drinker. I really enjoy coffee.
Mm,
Francis Francis understatement of the year. It hasn't done them any good. Yeah, this is from LC.
mm.
LC makes a really good point, which is what I appreciate about Francis. He is the master of the understatement. You you
Aw.
s- yeah, you are the master of the understatement. And I realized after our first pilot, oh, I have to listen a little more carefully to you because you don't use a sledgehammer, and I think it's best not to. y- you know but you've got some very loyal followers here.
Yeah, thank
um
you.
yeah, Michelle actually makes a point. She says, Michelle, pneumonia is awful, particularly when you're vulnerable. And she's wishing. There's another woman here. I'm just looking for her. Her
Yeah.
husband has had surgery, and
Oh.
the doctors said to her that pneumonia was the biggest concern.
Oh.
Um, I, I can't find. Here she is. It's
Hmm.
LC. It's LC, one of your regulars.
LC, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
she's a regular. LC, hi, thank you so much for the
Mm,
love and support, and for those
mm.
comments you leave down on those video posts every day. You are highly valued, and each one of you on the show, Lily Page, it's a shame I can't see the lineup of our uh, uh, dear friends on the show and the comments, but each one of those would be people who always show up relentlessly onto these live shows and our video posts. Thank you so much. And
But I want to get to King Charles now. Here's the rub.
mm,
King Charles, a lot of people are still living in the legacy of Diana,
mm,
and a lot of people still hold some of that against him. But
mm,
in my opinion, I feel he has, with his incredible stamina, his embrace of his daughter-in-law this last weekend, I believe he has melted the hearts of the most rabid opponent. I'll put it that way, because he has had his opponents, and it goes
mm,
back to Diana. And there's a lot of people who they don't just dislike Camilla; they literally have, well, they have very strong feelings. So you're
mm.
teaching me the art. You're teaching me the art of diplomacy, Francis.
Yeah.
So there's some people, and they openly express this strong opposition, continued strong opposition. But
Mm, mm,
in my opinion, his most ardent opponents could not help but be touched and persuaded to Prince Charles as a result of these incredibly challenging times that they're navigating. Remembering
mm,
Catherine would have been deeply hurt by what Harry did,
mm,
and and the king is, you know, he's still having to deal with nonsensical press releases from the Montecito mansion, or whatever anyone wants to call that. But
mm.
we mustn't forget this. This is against the backdrop of family hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
I, I feel his most ardent opponents would have to be
Mm,
persuaded and come
mm,
around with some empathy towards the
mm, mm.
king.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think?
Yes, yes. Well, you've put it very rightly, because King Charles, there are people who consistently say that they will never forgive King Charles for
Yeah.
those issues with Princess Diana. Okay, so as royalists, of course, we tend to steer away from those conversations, and
Mm,
because we know that we have the best interest of the royal family. We want it to, still survive and be out there, and do the right job, you know. And so if we have the king now, that line of succession, of course, kept King Charles as the king. So he is the king. We appreciate him as the king to carry that transition, until William and Catherine comes. So we all have, that sort of time when we think, King Charles messed up here and there, but he's also a human being. We make mistakes, and we learn from those mistakes. And so King Charles, during the days he grew up and he was living his life, the relationships and all of that sort of thing would have also come under uh, some sort of challenges that, led to those events. But also, as time has gone on now, okay, people have sort of started sympathizing with him because
Mm-hmm.
his age now, the illness he has at hand, and Queen Elizabeth had played a huge role in
Mm-hmm.
rebranding King
Yep.
Charles. And I
Yep.
think a lot of the people now who did not want Charles, have started sort of accepting him because of Queen Elizabeth, and how, of course, Queen Elizabeth said, okay, my son, Charles, be the king and his wife, the queen consort. So Queen Elizabeth did that because she knew what King Charles was going to be. She knew the resentment out there, and how people were not connecting with him. And she had to make that statement loud and clear that, my son, King Charles, as the next king, and his wife Camilla, mentioning it as the queen consort, was a way of sort of softening the ground a little bit for
Mm-hmm.
for his son, because she knew, rather, for her son, because she knew she hadn't done that, people wouldn't actually accept Camilla as the queen consort. Okay. And it hasn't helped to sort of bring these Princess Diana conversations back, with
Mm.
Prince Harry and his memoir and going on about these things in the past. I mean, Princess Diana was such a beauty. She was a
Mm.
people's sweetheart. She was,
Mm.
but again, we don't know what went on behind those walls. So when we talk about Charles, Diana, and all those things, we tend to sort of not comment a lot about them, and
Mm.
instead
Mm.
instead support, King Charles. That's the king we have right now. Otherwise, if we don't,
Yep.
as royalists who want the monarchy to go forward, I think we will not be doing a good service to this transition. And
Oh,
then,
you make
mm,
such a good point, Francis, because um, everyone has an opinion. Opinions are cheap, you know. We all have opinions, but there are real issues at stake here. And I feel sometimes just being a bit rabid about opposition to the king is unhelpful. And it doesn't mean you don't have an opinion about it, but
mm,
it is unhelpful.
mhm.
And and I feel on the issue of Diana, I was no different to anyone else. I loved her. I
I love
remember,
her. I loved her
oh,
tweets as well.
we still do.
We
But you're
do
right
every
about
day.
Harry.
Yeah, we
You're
still
right about
do.
Harry. He has, I believe, brought with his conversations and his obsession and the nonsense around all of those conversations between he and Meghan, I believe that they've cast a shadow over her and
Mm,
called a few things into question that didn't need to. You know, people still love Diana, but now I don't know. I just feel it hasn't helped,
yeah,
and it's it would have been easier. It would have been better for his mother if he just left her in the grave, left her to rest
yeah,
in peace,
yeah.
instead of
Using
dragging out.
her, and they are using her now for their own selfish interests. And if we could have had somebody else, okay, talking about that, but not Meghan, Meghan and Harry. So with Prince Harry, calling out his dad for all of that thing, and again, here is him with this girl who is tearing the royal family apart, who is, not helping Prince Harry in any way, shape, or form by giving him the right advice, you know, and how we know how she is using Princess Diana as a vehicle to sort of win people's hearts. The other day she said, "Oh, I dream about, Princess Diana. We went to the grave last time and she gave me a blessing and all of that sort of thing." I mean, if Princess Diana was there, she would have loved Harry to have a wife who was going to be, a family wife, who was not going to take away, Princess Diana's son away from his family, from his brother, from take the grandkids away from their father, like she has done with Prince Harry, you know. So she, we, Prince Harry couldn't have picked a wrong choice than he did. And so it doesn't help them, talking about Princess Diana and how she's trying to do over this, and by only using Princess Diana as a vehicle for her to actually gain more fame and win people's hearts. But you've touched a very important point, saying that everybody has their own opinions about King Charles and Princess Diana. I mean, we all loved Princess Diana, and we wished she was the one sat on that throne. We wished she was the queen we had, and how that would have been great for Diana to see, Catherine, Princess of Wales, and this great relationship they have. And maybe with Princess Diana, if she had been here, maybe Prince Harry wouldn't gone the path that he chose, because she always wanted her sons to be united. Okay. So maybe we could say we miss that about Princess Diana. But what can we do? These things happen. We have people who we think are the perfect ones for a certain role, and we keep getting other people in that role. So
Well,
what we
well,
appreciate is that we have
Diana,
Catherine
go
now.
on. Yeah.
Mm. Hmm.
I was just about to say that very thing. Well, this is what I like about our energy.
Hmm.
We're often on the same page. But the thing is with Catherine,
Hmm.
she is very much her own person,
Hmm.
and yet she is ready to surpass Princess Diana's popularity.
Hmm.
And I'll go to a question here, and it's been directed to me. What is
Okay.
your opinion about some YouTubers who feel King Charles has not defended Catherine with a statement on the bullying she has received from the press and the trolls online? Um, I didn't expect the king to come out and do that because I've got on my desk here this little box,
Hmm.
and it's
Hmm.
keep
Keep
calm
calm
and carry
and carry
on.
on. Yeah.
And uh, and I've got that there to remind me in case we ever have technical issues midstream. But
Hmm.
from my point of view, I didn't expect that from the king, and I felt he would have. They were trying. What I felt. This is what I felt. That whole awful, and it's still going. That whole scandalous bullying of the Princess of Wales is trying to drag them down to their level. They are
Hmm.
trying to bring them into the mud with them. And they say if you get into a fight with a pig, you just end up with mud on your face.
Hmm.
And you're the one who ends up with mud. So to answer your question, Aspie, it's Aspie RN 1975. Um, I didn't expect the palace to, or the king in particular, to issue any statements in that regard because their motto is, and
Keep calm.
I've questioned it at times, but their motto is to just carry on.
Yeah.
You do not engage with that
Yeah.
because what you do is you give it strength and
You
you
give it
give it
strength.
power.
Mm-hmm.
I, I,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I don't know
Simon,
if that helps, Aspie, but that's how I feel. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts, Francis?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That keep calm and carry on approach. The no response approach has won so many battles in the royal family, dating back, the days of Queen Elizabeth. She used not to
Mm,
put out statements of that sort of thing, and we would never see that come out. Um, Otherwise, he would be giving audience to many of these coming up, and people would, because sometimes in replying to those messages, you end up making
mm,
mistakes. But then, if he had to do that, he then had to put out statements to protect William as well, because William has been harassed online, called this and that. And it was not just Catherine, but even William stepping out. Oh,
mm.
you're beating your wife, or you have hunger issues, you have these things. And so there's a lot going out there. So where do you start from? Are you going to be responding to every, those negative comments coming through? I think the best thing is to just ignore those people. Don't give them that audience or time, especially as the king has so many other important things to do. Okay, so that approach for the king, I think, and the royal family basically, through the royal communications, has always been keep calm, carry on, stay silent, let people say what they want to do, just carry on with the great work. And that's why we haven't even seen him come out to put out statements calling out Prince Harry for his, overstepping the mark. We know Prince Harry recently went to Nigeria for that Nigerian trip where it was meant to be a private visit for Meghan and Harry, and it turned out to be an unofficial royal visit. That wasn't acceptable. The using of the royal titles to, stepping out there when they know they shouldn't be using those titles. Meghan Markle using the insignia, the royal insignia on her businesses of the strawberry jam, and Sussex.com, they're still playing on the royal titles. And when you look at how they have laid out their websites, they are using all these royal colors. All of those things would have been sort of, what's the word to say, trademarked by the royal family. So nobody should be using those things, but they are using them. And so King Charles, under normal situations, would be expected to maybe put out a statement and say, right, Prince Harry, what you guys are doing is not right, and stop it. But he doesn't. So he doesn't do that. It's because he's keeping calm. He's not saying anything. But in a way, when somebody does something wrong and the master just looks at them and doesn't tell them, okay, and then later on, there are all of these other big occasions like the trooping of the color, or all of those Christmas celebrations the royal family has. Those are the moments the royal family then punishes people. So they don't invite them, they sort of ignore them or isolate them, and they don't call them into the party, into all these special things. That is when Meghan and Harry then start to receive those messages that,
Mm,
okay, whatever we do is not right, and that's why they weren't even invited for the king's birthday parade, you
mm,
know, because there is something that the royal family is sending out there to Meghan and Harry. They're saying whatever you're doing is not in any way, shape, and form glorifying or
mm.
respect the royal family. So then you're not even part of us for this one. But you're very
It's
right,
it's very
that keep
sad.
calm approach.
It's I think it's very sad. I as a family, I think Harry underestimated that the firm, as it's known, and it was Prince Philip who called it the firm, was going to carry on with or without him.
Mm,
And no one wanted to carry on without him. He was beloved. He was his family loved him,
mm,
and still do, I'm sure.
mm,
But it was very sad. But the thing is, no one missed him. It was
mm,
noticeable, but no one missed them, and no
mm,
one missed Andrew. I remember in 2022, um, Prince William was accused of throwing his weight around because Prince Andrew was going to be very public in his Garter robes at the Order of the Garter, and
mm,
he put his foot down and he said no, he wouldn't have it. He said he can participate in private events like luncheons, etc., but not the public parade. He said
mm.
it's either him or me. Well,
Yeah,
what are you going to say to the future heir? He's the heir, the future king. It's either
exactly.
him or me. So the royal family have made some hard decisions.
Yeah, yeah. They know when to make those hard decisions. They have their moments, where they will, put their foot down on these uh, rebels of the royal family, if you would like to call them. Prince Harry coming back here, he's not allowed to wear his military gear, to occasions. Last time for the
Oh.
Queen's funeral, you saw it, everybody else was, wearing their military wear, uniforms, and there was Harry standing there with his suit. I know he was wearing Christian Dior at the time, but that doesn't count, So those moments are the moments that the royal family punishes these rebels, of the royal family. They know, So it's not like they have completely kept a deaf ear and let them do whatever they want to do. They are doing those things, but the royal family is
Mm,
keeping an eye. And when that right time comes, they know how to send that subtle message that, hey, on this occasion, I think you're not invited. If you have to come, there are places you are not going to get into. Okay. So Prince Harry came down for the Platinum Jubilee service of Queen Elizabeth. Remember that took place at St. Paul's Cathedral.
yep.
Uh, Catherine, Princess of Wales, on the day wore a yellow, uh,
Mm,
she looked very,
hope,
yes,
joy.
hope, joy, yes. And then we had Meghan turning up in, was it grayish, light grayish with the white, black, big white hat.
Mm,
And
mm,
but what I wanted to highlight is they attended that function, but they did not have lunch with the rest of the royals. Okay, they didn't invite them for the lunch. So again, that is telling of, although they have been invited on certain occasions, they are now seen as actually outsiders. Just come, attend this, and go away. So they are not allowing them openly into the rest of the royals because of the trust issues. Who knows where those conversations will end up. Uh, there were, stories we had that they had microphones. Meghan and Prince Harry had microphones on them, and just to say that they probably record conversations and all of that sort of thing. So that trust has since been gone.
mm, mm,
What we are
mm,
having now is a royal family that knows where to draw those lines when it comes to
mm.
the rebels of the royal family. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is, where I find it deeply, it is, I've been thinking a lot about Harry this week and his absence and
Mm,
what that means for them, not just commercially, because they rely on their connections with royalty, but how he's in isolation now, and he's trying to come back. He wants to buy a house, and he's, you know, it's an old story. They call them the warring brothers, but
mm,
They were very strong children. They grew up, and Prince William was known to have had a temper as well.
Mm,
But it's a story as old as time itself.
mm,
But there's there's always a way back. Maybe not into public life,
mm,
not
mm,
into public life, but there's always, in my view, um, there has to be room for the re- the repair
recon-
and mending
reconciliation.
relationships.
Mm, mm. And that will,
What do you think about that?
that will only happen if certain parties agree to put their
Mm,
ego on one side
mm,
and
mm,
apologize, because
yeah.
this is not as easy as saying, right, okay, so come back, okay, we put
Mm,
all these issues to bed, let's continue from where we stopped. Things have now gone so far, okay. I mean,
mm,
this book's pair is out there and it's going to be out there forever. It's not something you can recall, you can, get to delete words and change them around. So this has already been put out there. The damage that it caused is huge, and that is going to stay there for generations. Everybody's going to read these stories, that must be very painful, not just to Prince William, but also to King Charles, because there's a lot in there that was said about Camilla. Okay.
yeah.
There's a lot in there that was said about William, Catherine. So this book
Mm,
was very damaging, and that really angered, these Oprah Winfrey interviews. Okay, they could sort of, okay, so they said that they could understand that maybe emotions ran wild, they had only just left, some of these things were said out of anger, and so they could probably, these interviews were on YouTube, so they could just delete all of that, and but a book which was written, stocked in all shelves around the world,
that's a
carrying
good point.
all these very negative sentiments about the royal family, that must have angered the royal family. And I think that was one key area that is stopping all these reconciliatory conversations. Okay. And even if
Yeah,
he has to come back and apologize, sorry for that book, for what I've done, I think there are times when a sorry is not going to be enough, and it does
mm,
not mean that you are forgiven. Okay. The only way back I see is if there is maybe a divorce of some sort between Harry wife, and Harry now of course has nowhere to go but come back here. So he will come back here. His father will not say no to welcoming his son. Okay, so he will come back here. He will be given where to stay. Harry can afford to buy a house here. But I think things to do with coming back to work as a royal, I don't. So I think that has now since gone beyond
mm, mm.
it. We can't see that happening, and we can't blame them for not letting him come back.
I agree with you. I think what Harry hasn't taken into account, um, because I don't think he has the capacity to really think strategically, not even tactically. But he, even in companies where there's a disagreement with a senior employee, a manager that they really have appreciated and loved, and they come to blows over an issue. And sometimes when that parting of the ways comes, it's with deep regret. And
Mm,
a lot, even in churches, I know of one church there was a big split. It was unfortunate. It was over a disagreement, and everyone was hurt.
mm,
Everyone. There were no winners. There were
mm,
actually no winners in that whatsoever.
mm,
And what Harry hasn't taken into account that on that level, the royal family has had to just draw a line in the sand.
Yeah,
Th- th-
yeah.
That, that I don't think he really thought it. No, we know he hasn't thought it through.
He hasn't helped himself as well, to add on to
Mm,
what you have said, because if he was really wanting these conversations to take place, okay, Prince Harry, one thing he would have done is to show support to the family. It doesn't, he would be clever here, start sending out messages of support,
like
sending
Father's Day message.
Father's Day message to his father. I know people would say, right, you've gone, so you treated your father like, trash, and now you're sending these messages. People would say that, but genuinely, they would start to look at Prince Harry as, oh, I think that is really thoughtful. And
Mm,
so that would ease his way back into, okay. The other thing would be to try thick and thin to see that he brings his children back to see his grandfather. Start putting
mm,
messages out there. Oh, I can't wait to take my kids to see their grandfather. You know, show that level of connection. Start, you know, being more sensible with things. Okay, and think out of the box. Okay, Catherine was very good friends with Prince Harry. Prince Harry said
yes.
at some point that this is the sister I never had. Okay, but what has he done when all of these negative messages were thrown out there about Catherine, apart from keeping quiet? Okay, so these are the little things that Prince Harry would have done to try and win back people's hearts.
Mm,
He would
mm.
have
You have
sent.
to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere, and usually you don't have to start to look far away to find a way
Mm,
back in. So those small
mm,
gestures, like, okay, sending Catherine well wishes. We had the birthday parade. Recently they were not invited, but again, that could not stop them from putting out a statement on their Sussex.com to say we wish King Charles a good birthday parade. Happy birthday,
yes.
something as simple as that, so that people can start to find a place where they can forgive, start forgiving them. But they are not helping themselves. What they are
Mm,
doing instead is what we are seeing them do, Netflix
yeah.
effect, the victimization of themselves, these trips and masquerading as if they are still royals, and they are not taking away those grandchildren to, to United States, and never actually wanting or making arrangements of bringing them to see their grandfather. Every grandfather wants to see their grandchildren. Okay, so King Charles here having to say, right, I miss my grandchildren, I haven't seen them for years, is very disheartening. And this is the moment that Prince
Yeah.
Harry has to actually step up if he wants to make these conversations take place. Okay, he shouldn't be dragging his father's government to court because they haven't given him police security. You know, and talking about his father in a subtle way by saying, "Oh, they are protecting my brother William. They protected him here, but they couldn't protect me." They put out statements to protect my brother, but they don't protect me. So all of those things are not doing him any service at all. And our viewers on here will also, I think, agree with us here that
Well,
is-
someone made a good comment here. Pom again.
mm,
Um, he would have, speaking of Harry, he would have to be kept more at arm's length than Prince Andrew.
mm, mm.
Why would you agree with that? What are your
Of
thoughts
course,
about that?
because Prince Andrew did whatever he did, okay, but Prince Andrew, regardless of how he has been sort of isolated, which is the right thing to do, because obviously somebody who has done those sort of things, and still mixing with the royals freely would in some way lead to people questioning why isn't he actually punished, and for his behavior. But what Andrew has done is Andrew has never pulled down his the royal family. He's never said anything bad about the royal family. He's never gone on the wild and started saying, right, my brother is this, William is that. He's still very respectful of the king. He's still very respectful of the fact that, they took his royal titles away. He doesn't use them. He's playing by the rules. Whereas Harry has gone has taken that path consistently, consistently behaving in a way that is not promoting the royal family out there. Is instead fighting against it now. You know, and the same thing with Meghan. Look at how Catherine is in her position. She modeled herself to fit within the royal family. She is supporting the royal family. And we have completely the opposite thing with Meghan, trying to
Well, there's a
fight against the royal family. And this is what Harry is also doing, and the book and the Oprah Winfrey interview. So you can't trust Prince Harry. You can't.
no, no. Well,
Mhm.
the Stead's on your point about Meghan. Stedman makes a comment. I'm a biracial woman, just like Meghan. If I did what she did, my mom and dad, in Australia we say mum, my mom and dad could never forgive me for causing so much drama. Now, that's a very good point
I
because
agree with that
a lot of people,
100%.
well, a lot of people, okay, they could have done a few things a bit differently, but a lot of people blame her family.
Mm,
They go after they go after Samantha, they go after Thomas Jr. Thomas Sr.'s had two serious heart attacks. But Stedman makes a very good point there. It's Meghan that's causing the drama. Her family don't know how to respond. The
mm,
family are not exactly perfect, but whose family is? Our family fight all the time.
mm, mm.
So I think Stedman makes a very good point there that her parents were just off you go then, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that has sort of fed into the behavior of Meghan Markle herself. The family,
Yes.
the family she comes from, very disjointed, very not together. And Meghan Markle, as you see, and her sisters are estranged. She doesn't. So how do you expect her to, behave as a role model when she and the family where she comes from have not been able to keep those good family virtues between themselves? Her father was dying was struggling, in hospital, very ill, and the father was begging her to go and see her, to take the kids so he could see them, and begging her, and she refused to do so. And then we wonder why Prince Harry is not bringing the kids to come and see King Charles.
Yep. Mm.
So this is classic Meghan Markle, of course, feeding all these really bad family values and lack of compassion, and you know, into Harry, and has turned Harry against his own family. Just like we see this situation between Meghan Markle, Doria, the kid, the Samantha Markle, and all of that sort of thing. I mean, who comes to a wedding, your wedding, Meghan Markle's wedding, and not invite
Oh yeah, yeah.
family?
And Harry allowed it. That's the thing. Whatever Harry
Apparently, uh,
isn't, he
hmm,
didn't stand up and say because the Queen wanted. She it was like she couldn't understand it because they don't just have their first cousins. They have their second, their third, their fourth, their fifth, their
Oh
sixth
yes,
cousins.
oh
They
yeah,
have they have everyone, the
thousands, yeah,
royals.
coming through, yeah. But
Harry should have insisted, but no, he just
apparently,
believed everything she said.
yeah, but she painted a dark picture and dark image of her, family, saying, how her father was meant to be coming, to that wedding. And then boom, this story comes up, and she says the father she had used the wedding to start getting money from people. Her father is a bad person, and I don't want these people to come onto my wedding because they are going to cause such a big fracas. And she tainted a picture of her family, a picture that she then sold to the royal family as, no, these don't actually require an invitation. But who does that? Who really does? And then she
Who?
invites
That's right. Who does that?
celebrities. Yeah, and she invites these celebrities,
Mm,
90% of whom she had never met, because she wants to be seen as a high profile. So
mm,
sad. But when you see that Prince Harry is in the hands of somebody like that, then we don't
mm.
wonder when we see these behaviors, and how they are actually being perceived globally, by everybody who understands or who knows what sort of person Prince Harry was before he got involved with Meghan.
Well, Harry believed. See, the thing is with Harry, um, he's not very bright, and it's on public record that his mother suffered bulimia while she was pregnant with Harry. So there's a lot of questions over how well he really is. What are the extent of his mental health issues? So there's that question there, okay? But for him to have just blindly leave the royal family based on everything Meghan said tells you, it really speaks to his state, because he was more popular than the Queen at one stage, and
Oh yes.
he really believed that all that grooming and all of that PR and all of that massaging and all of that keeping, taking things out of the press when he was being during his wild days, he really believed he was Superman. He
Mm.
didn't realize he couldn't take that PR strategy with him.
Yeah. When he left, he was met
Yeah.
by the royal family, and then that's where he belonged. And we knew that the moment he steps out of that family, that is going to be the end of him, because him as an individual hadn't prepared himself fully for independence as a man. Because, as you know, he hasn't got that education at all, that he could actually go out there and sustain a project on his own. Everything was done for him in the royal family. They have departments that take on things right from the planning stage to, if it's going to be a tour, a royal visit, they do all of those things for them. All that Prince Harry would do is just dress up the shoes that have been presented to him and put the tie on, and that's it. It's not like we have seen William, who went to university, did a degree in geography. He
Yeah.
has a qualification, and he can. Let's say
Mm.
if he wasn't a royal, next in line. So Prince William could easily afford to go and get a job and be paid a big salary to run a project, an environmental health project, whereas his brother couldn't. And so that didn't help Harry at all. And this is how we are seeing his behavior being easily changed, he's being easily manipulated. unconvinced because he lacks that sense of judgment
Yes. Yes.
which his brother has. Okay. And a lot of this comes as a result of being learned, being thoughtful, and, being responsible. These are the things we saw William emulating, and, from his mother, school, paying attention to all these things, writing projects and tabling a dissertation and graduating. All of those help to build professionalism,
Mm,
responsibility, of judgment. Harry didn't have all of that. So
mm,
then he lands into the hands of this very cunning woman who, of course, has a degree in politics, international relations, and add on her, being a grifter out there who wants to take advantage of every opportunity available. Of course, she was going to change him into a way that would suit her interests. So easily manipulated Prince Harry, got him out of the family, and was of course now building her own brand around Harry. The strawberry jam, Duchess of Sussex, and all of that sort of thing. And I think by the time Harry wakes up to all of that and gets to actually realize that, this path I took is really wrong, I think it will be too late if it's not already late.
mm. Well, Elaine in the chat makes a point here about um, Meghan, that she lied about her family. She told Trevor and Harry's family she never had her parents. So she did this to Trevor as well. And her parents were shocked when she said this. Now, this brings me to a point about her bullying. She bullied her parents so publicly. Can you imagine? She did that with the machine of the royal family behind her. This is why I have some empathy. I think they've made some glaring mistakes, but whatever, Um, they she did this bullying with the machinery of the royal family behind
Family.
her, and the all of the staff, the courtiers, the PR machine. She bullied her family on the public stage. She slandered them with this machinery. This was so powerful. How how would anyone be able to fight back? And now it brings us to today.
Mhm.
She's done exactly the same with Catherine. She has used PR, she uses her army of trolls, and Catherine has undergone. Now, I'm not going to say it's all come from Meghan, but it started there, and she drives it and she keeps the momentum. And the bullying of Catherine has been so wicked.
Mm.
Imagine she bullied her father after he had a heart attack. Now she's bullying a sick woman who's fighting for her very life. And this is the
Exactly.
woman he wanted to marry.
The woman, the woman that has sort of taken Prince Harry and put Prince Harry in her grip. Prince Harry
Yep.
is now seen like a handbag. Prince Harry was very, very close to Catherine, and
Mm,
Catherine was more like Prince Harry's sister, advising Harry on a lot of things. But to say that Harry doesn't speak to Catherine, says all of those things about Catherine in his book, and look at how he's quiet when Meghan is speaking ill about Catherine's husband, because this is where Prince Harry would actually jump in and say, I know Catherine is a good person. I know. Okay, so if Harry had his own issues with his brother, at least he would stand up against Catherine and say, you know what, Catherine is good hearted. Don't even go there. Nobody speaks to Catherine like that. And, but he
mm,
doesn't do that. So he lets Meghan rule his world. So it doesn't surprise us because, again, It's Harry. We know the the low sense of judgment he has, not being very thoughtful at, and not being good at taking advice. All of those things have actually played into the hands of Meghan. Okay, and but anyway,
Well,
it's,
I mean, coming back to the
we
balcony, can we
yeah,
blame the royal family for
for
not
not
inviting them?
we cannot we
Mm,
cannot, and everybody
mm,
was simply happy with that decision.
yeah.
And I think this tripping of the color has left us with very many lessons we can reflect
Oh,
on. You know, and as we finish this live stream tonight,
mm,
it is very good to highlight that it has really exposed the tripping of the color has exposed Catherine, Princess of Wales, and King Charles as very strong, individuals in the royal family to be able to take on those duties and make those appearances in the middle of such health scares and in the middle of the growing forces of these anti-monarchists and these internet trolls and the bullying of Catherine and everything, and they still pulled up a very successful event. For us, that shows how courageous, strong, and
yes.
yeah, they are. But also, I think this is also very important. It has highlighted a royal family that has now moved on away from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They've moved
They
on
have. Yeah.
because yeah,
That's really clear now. It
mm,
it is it is a megaphone. That's
yes,
it's a megaphone. We've moved on.
yes, moved on. Okay, so everything went as nobody even had a thought of, oh, if Prince Harry, Meghan
Mm,
Markle with that balcony would have, there wasn't any of that. People almost forgot that we once had a Harry and Meghan in that royal family. Okay,
sad.
so
Yeah.
this event has really provided us with so many great lessons. Okay, and I know people watching us here in the comment section, you might be, agreeing with us, when we say this, because I was down there for the trooping of the color. I did a recording of a walkabout around the mall, asking people about how they were feeling about the day and Meghan Markle, Prince Harry not being present. And everybody was like, don't even talk about them, because don't spoil the party, Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's really, really highlighted a royal family that has since moved on. And I think if Catherine, King Charles get back to full fitness, we are going to see a royal family flying high with wings. And I think this cancer, as much as it's a dreadful illness and all of that stuff, it has actually helped to sort of draw. It has helped us to actually look at royals as
Yes.
individuals who are like us. Okay, they have the same struggles. Okay, like we have. Okay, okay, because health sickness unites a lot of people, and so we have learned from them during this very challenging period that they too have faced such a very hard season, and they need our support and all of that sort of thing. And when they get back to full fitness, they will know that without the public we wouldn't have pulled out through these very challenging times. Okay.
Mm. Oh, it's wonderful. It's such a good note to finish on. Yeah, you'll read your chats, I'm sure, later. Some of the conversations are actually very funny. But thank you. Thank you for another fabulous live, and thanks for all your work on the weekend. I absolutely loved it. You're very funny, you're very human, but you are the quintessential diplomat.
Thank you so much. Thank you indeed,
Thank
Catherine.
you.
And
Inside the chat.
you bring so much joy to these live streams. Your knowledge and wisdom and your passion for the royal family across is that the Atlantic, the ocean, down in
Oh, one of
Australia
those.
is great. Keep up
Across the pond.
across the pond. Keep that flag flying, please. Keep it up. And
Thank you.
I hope that one day you probably come down to the UK, so you can have a quick. You were born here, you lived in the UK,
Yes,
but it would be
yes.
nice to see you come back and
I'm coming next year.
visit.
I'm coming. I thought to myself, oh, I'm not letting Francis have all the fun. I'm
Okay.
joining him.
Yes, join us. Join me.
See you
Yes.
in
Yes.
2025.
2025. So we could do a live recording outside Buckingham
Mm,
Palace, somewhere in the gardens, um,
yeah.
just to have a bit of that feel of royalty and the winds blowing over us. And we probably could see Princess Anne or, William walking out of the gates, marching down to Wellington Barracks, because
Oh,
that's
stop it.
they do, around that place in London on certain days. But it would be great to see you come here and hopefully me visit Australia, at some point in time. But I'm always gonna have you on these shows here.
Oh,
We have
fabulous.
lots and lots of other, topics and discussions
Yes.
coming up. Our viewers, you will be seeing us quite often talking about different royal stories. As they come up, we'll be picking up the top ones, the hot royal news stories, and have a bit of a thought over them and get to hear your opinions in this comments section below.
Okay. Well,
Subscribe
thank you.
to
Thank you.
Catherine's channel, my dear friends, and keep up your support. We truly appreciate
Mm. Okay. Well,
it.
bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Before we
sweetie, darling.
before we go, Catherine, just because I can't see the comments section in here,
It's
could you
moving. It's
could,
actually moving quite fast.
could you
You'll be.
highlight highlight a few of those and send our well wishes and for
I
us?
will.
Yeah.
I will. Uh, Heather.
Yeah.
No, I'm not letting Francis have all the fun. Stop
Yeah.
it. Uh, so yeah, no. These are beautiful comments. Um, there's a lot of conversations going on. How dare they talk over us?
Yeah.
Um, I really enjoyed this discussion by the panel in the chat. I have another live to go to. Great show. That was Pom.
Thank
Pom.
you. Thank you.
Uh, Stedman, Francis, thank you for sharing. Oh,
Oh,
I almost don't want to
you.
go now, but we need to.
We do, yes. But thank
Mm,
you all so much. And we will be
yeah,
catching up with you again very soon, won't we?
very soon.
Very, very
Yeah,
soon. Right, Catherine, have a wonderful day. I think it's
you
daytime
too.
wherever you are, and it's nighttime
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
UK. But we'll catch up again very
yeah.
soon.
It's 8
Okay?
o'clock here. Bye bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye bye. Bye.